I see that Wayne Liebman is here, so I think it will be time to introduce this month's guest speaker, who we are incredibly honored to have with us. This is Wayne Liebman, the founder of the Blue Voter Guide. He's going to tell you about the origin of it, how he came up with the idea, and how we can all get more involved with it. But I'll just tell you a few quick, interesting points. Wayne is originally a physician and also a playwright, and is now a full-time activist. And from what I understand from the internet, Wayne, a lot of that change of focus was motivated by the election of Donald Trump, as it was for many of us. The other interesting fact is that he went to elementary school and Cub Scouts with one of our group members, Mark Linsky, who isn't here today. But most of you remember Mark as the person who always has one bad joke in every meeting. So that was a nice coincidence. But I think without further ado, I would like to introduce Wayne and let him tell us about the great things the Blue Voter Guide is doing and how we can get involved. So I'll turn it over to you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wendy. Would it be possible for me to share my screen?
Yes, hold on. I'm going to make you a co-host. Oh, you look a lot like Cary Grant.
That's my high school yearbook picture. Okay.
All right, I will stop sharing.
And I can share, so I will do that. And I want to say hi to Larry and Missy of our team. So I am Wayne, and I want to start by pointing out that there are dozens of guides out there. Here's a few, and they all have three things in common, most of them. They first throw a lot of information at you, and most of them are very complicated, and most are nonpartisan. So this is Blue Voter Guide. And the question is, why is it different from all the other guides? Well, first, we're not complicated. Second, we don't throw a lot of information at you. And third, we don't ask you for much. Blue Voter Guide is laser focused on turnout by solving the number one voting problem, which is confusion about who to vote for, especially down ballot. You enter your address, we show you what's on your ballot for each candidate, judge, and measure. You'll see a list of endorsements from trusted organizations. It's like an X-ray of who supports whom. So you can make informed, confident choices in minutes instead of hours. You can save it, print it, share it. You've unleashed your full voting power, so we can win up and down ballot in all 50 states in 2024. It's a partisan voter guide, meaning we don't offer information about Republicans. We list them, but you can't choose them when you build your guide. I'm going to show you more in a bit, but first I want to tell you how we got here. So this is where we started in 2018, one page on the SoCal Blue website showing ballot propositions. Each row was a ballot measure, and each column was an endorsing organization. We filled in the boxes with a yes or no, so you could look across a row and get the picture. It's an X-ray of who supports what. This was successful beyond our expectations, used by thousands of people, and to our knowledge had never been done before. It was different because it was simple, it was partisan blue, and it worked by showing endorsements. So we figured we were onto something, which gave us another idea. We decided to do it for the entire ballot. We shopped around for a national vendor who collected election information. We signed a contract to purchase their election data, and then we set about building a new website to and to research the endorsers, which we added to the display. So this vendor initially did not have every down ballot race, but they had all statewide races and all state legislative races. And they're constantly increasing their scope, and their ambition is to give us data for every down ballot race in the country in 2024. So why do we think this formula of keeping it simple, working by endorsements, and being partisan is so important? So here's a trick question. Who won the 2016 election? Here's Donald Trump. He got 27% of the eligible voters, about 63 million. This is Hillary. She did better. She got 28.5%, nearly 66 million, although she lost in the Electoral College. But there's another group. These are the people that could have voted but didn't, all 100 million of them. They won the election. They beat Trump and they beat Hillary. And the number of non-voters, eligible non-voters, is falling, but it's still in the tens of millions. So the Knight Foundation did a deep dive into the non-voters by looking at a large sample. They called this the 100 Million Project. And here we're looking at the barriers to voting reported by young voters. On the bottom left, we see over a quarter of them didn't vote because of uncertainty about the candidates. And then there's people who needed help telling real news from fake news. There may be some overlap, but what this is saying is that from a quarter to a half of young people had trouble voting, either because they didn't feel they had enough information or they didn't trust the information that they had. The Knight study broke down the reasons even further, summed up in a t-shirt. Young people were not engaging with the news. It had become noise. Here's an article from the LA Times about a young guy who didn't vote. This is what he said, quote, "I don't know how to do this. It's like a huge step. I don't want to make the wrong decision." This is John Delavolpe. He's the director of polling at Harvard Kennedy School. He's been studying young voters for 2 decades. And this is what he told Simon Rosenberg on the Hopium podcast a couple of months ago. Gen Z voters want to be perfect, have all their homework done, or else they will leave a ballot item blank. So how does this work? Well, this is a screen grab of what the guide looks like on the web. We're active in 7 states now. You enter an address, and there's no election right now in California. So if you entered a California address, you wouldn't get a return. So if you want to see how the guide works live, go to one of the states with the gold color in the map. Those are the active elections right now. You won't see all the races that way, but you'll see all the statewide races. Now, what I've done is I've entered an address into Virginia and clicked on Build Your Guide, and this is what comes up. And I couldn't squeeze it all on one screen. There's a ballot measure at the top. The person who lives at the address I entered would see these races as they scroll down. If you want more information about a candidate, you can click on them. And if you want more information about the endorsing organizations, you click on an endorser icon. This is the end of their ballot. I want to show you a couple of things. The school board races are nonpartisan. We use a gray background for that. But we can show who endorses the candidates and we can describe them. So you can see we've indicated this one is a Democrat and has some endorsements. And we've also indicated this one is a Republican. So that helps you to differentiate. Further down, the House of Delegates race, it is a partisan race. The Democratic candidate is in blue and you can see all their endorsements. We do have a red bar here. You could click on if you wanted to, and you could see the name of the Republican, but we don't have any information about them. You can't select them when you're building your ballot. We're not interested in helping people vote for Republicans. And I should mention, this isn't the complete guide for this address. In San Diego in 2024, you should see, I think, all of your down ballot races. When you've made your selections, you click on Review Your Choices up here on the top right. That brings you to this page where it lists neatly on the left all of your selections. The message at the top explains this is a guide, it's not your actual ballot, and it also mentions our expanding coverage. You can go back and modify your choices, print them, save them, and share them with these buttons over on the right. So all of us are here, we're activists. I want to share how some folks are using Blue Voter Guide in both registration and turnout. This is a Field Team, the Field Team 6 website. If you go there, fieldteam6.org, you go to the resource tab in the top menu, and then you click on printable tools in the drop down, and that takes you to a page where you can scroll down and see this. Every graphic here contains a QR code that goes to the Blue Voter Guide website. The stickers on the right are free. You can order them for the price of postage. The postcards on the left are printable. The one in the middle has English and Spanish. You download everything and print it on any paper, or you can order Avery labels, which they fit on. And this is here because some folks in swing left Sonoma were registering voters and they encountered resistance. They got into conversations. It turned out there were a lot of young folks who didn't want to register because they were afraid to vote because they didn't want to make mistakes. This is the exact problem that was highlighted in the Knight study. It's an actual thing. So the swing left Sonoma folks started giving out the postcards, telling everyone to keep them and point their phones at it when it came time to vote. No muss, no fuss. This also works for GOTV. You'll encounter people who think voting is too much of a chore. Tell them about Blue Voter Guide. It was created for them. Now, word about our friend, the Democratic Party. This is from the CADEM website. CADEM is an endorsing organization, and like any endorsing organization, they're primarily interested in people voting for the candidates and measures that they endorse. Blue Voter Guide is different because we feature a range of endorsers, all of them on the left. So the Democratic Party and other endorsing orgs tend to ignore Blue Voter Guide, which is a big mistake. It's extremely short-sighted of the party and any endorsing organization only to promote their own sheet of endorsements, which is just one more piece of information that gets to an already overwhelmed voter. Moreover, recent CADEM polling has shown that young voters don't feel tethered to the party, much less to any single endorsing organization. But young voters are confused about who to vote for, and as I've mentioned, studies have shown it stops them from voting at all. Blue Voter Guide is not trying to sell one candidate or another, or a slate of candidates. It's trying to get new and hesitant voters to vote. It's apples and oranges when you come to that. What good is your slate if your people are afraid to vote? The vast majority of voters using Blue Voter Guide will make choices in agreement with the Democratic Party and other endorsing organizations, but the voter will come to this not because Blue Voter Guide tells them what to think, but rather it shows them what to think about. Blue Voter Guide's trusted precisely because it doesn't endorse specific measures, judges, or candidates. It just lists the trusted progressive endorsers for each of these. It makes it easy and quick for the voters to make confident voting choices for themselves. I want to close by asking you a few things. My first ask is that you use Blue Voter Guide. Second, that you tell everyone you know and every organization you know about it. If you go to the bottom of the website, scroll down, there's a donor button on the left. We need the money to buy data. That's the only thing we use money for. No person working on Blue Voter Guide is paid, including me, including Larry, including Missy. We're all volunteers paid at the super low volunteer discount rate of nothing. And there's a volunteer button on the right. It takes you to a form to fill out, after which we'll call you. You just give us your information, tell us a little bit about yourself. We need people to research and enter endorsers, and we have a media team working to spread the word on social media. Speaking of, this is our link tree. It has all of our social media accounts. Please follow us, join our Facebook group, like us, love us, link to our posts. And we are also looking for someone right now to run our TikTok, which is not on here yet. This is our Facebook page on the left, and then Instagram, Twitter, and Threads on the right. And that's the link tree address again at the bottom. I'll leave it up here if you want to copy these addresses. Thanks for listening. I think that's the end of my 10 minutes. And I think maybe hopefully there'll be time for some questions. So. Let me see. I think, you know what I'll do. Stop, go back. That means I'm done. I think what I'll do is paste the link tree in the
It's already in there.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Okay, so we're good to go. All right. So I'm happy to talk about any questions. If you don't have any questions, I have a few that people often ask. But anyway, the floor is open, I guess. Were there any in the chat that showed up?
No.
Okay. So one question I get frequently is about this mysterious endorsing organization. Not the endorsing, but the data organization. We're the endorsing organization. We don't endorse, but we research the endorsers. The data organization that we buy our data from is a nationally recognized vendor. You would know the name, and they collect their information from public websites, and then they package it, and then they make it available to people. They are nonpartisan. We are contractually obligated not to mention their name because they're nonpartisan and because we're partisan. You would recognize the name if I said it, but I can't say it. So that's that question that nobody asked. We are getting more and more down ballot. That's another frequent question is, why don't I see my school board race and so on? They have promised us that they're going to do their best to have every race in the country in 2024. We have the capability of adding in races ourselves. And so I think also being in a large area, if you're in San Diego, you should be able to see almost all of your races, if not all your races in 2024.
Okay, there is a question from Victoria saying, I'm looking at the site, I don't see our districts. You mean Victoria in San Diego, I
You-
guess.
Yeah, Victoria, if you enter a San Diego address into that address field, you'll get a thing that says we don't have any races right now. We're waiting until after the November election in 2023 before we make California active, and then we will start filling out endorsers. So you probably won't see anything for a month, maybe a little bit more. There are 129 days left before the primaries. We will be doing primaries and the general. So you won't see anything for San Diego. In a day or so, we have a new thing that in our development site that's going to be pushed to live tomorrow, where you can look at a sample California ballot from 2022, and that may show you some stuff that you would find interesting. But what I would suggest is just going to the map and clicking on any one of the states. Click on Virginia or click on Pennsylvania, and then you can see what the state ballot looks like in those states. Those are active elections now, and you can play with them. But do not fear, your elections, when they're ready, they'll be up.
And a little bit of a comment on a question, I guess. I mean, you can imagine this is such a tremendous effort to even do this for one state and have all of the ballot measures and the judges and the school board members on there. But to think about expanding it to all 50 states by 2024 is awesome. And I don't know how you guys are doing it, but apparently you are. Larry tells me you are. But anyway, I just think it's a fantastic effort, and the volunteers who are doing this, people who are coding, people who are doing research, people who are doing quality control. I know you'll talk about that, Wayne, and how people can get involved. But it's just a tremendous effort. And I know from the years that we did voter registration here in San Diego, how much the hesitancy about voting was confusion and fear of intimidation, and how much this is going to help. So really appreciate it. And I did have a question about there's websites that if you go to them and you put in your address, it tells you where your polling location is, or how to get a mail-in ballot wherever. And that seems to also be another piece of the puzzle about voter hesitancy. Is there a way that Blue Voter Guide could eventually link up to those websites, or is it already?
Well, if you go to the, I'll just go to the live page. I'll share again just really quickly. Okay, I can do this. Where am I? Here. Okay, so this is, you're looking at my browser now. So this is the Blue Voter Guide site live on the web. If you scroll down, this is the map. This is where you can click on those other states and see what those ballots. But here is a link to voterizer.org. And if you go to Voterizer, it's going to give you information about whether you're registered, and you can get information about registering online. You can ask for a you would put in your state. This would be California, and if I click on Get Started, then Voterizer is going to show you. Voterizer is a Field Team 6 guy. So you register, vote, sign up to register, and this is a reminder of when and where to vote in the next election. So you can just put your information in there, and they'll give you a reminder and let you do that. So find my polling place, there's a link there for that. So I would say everything is available on Voterizer. There was no reason to reinvent the wheel. So we just put that link to Voterizer on the Blue Voter Guide site. You just go right there and get that.
Awesome. Thanks. Other questions for Wayne?
Leslie had one.
Hi, excuse me. So in terms of gearing up for the primary, when can I start amplifying the link? When will it be up and running and ready to rock and roll?
There's really our data vendor does not have it much information at this point. I think they're really going to start hitting their stride probably after the new year. So I would start looking right around then. And the thing is, the information will be constantly increasing at that point, and we'll be adding endorsers, and we add endorsers up until the night before. I remember in 2022, the Santa Monica Dem Club came out with their endorsers the night before the election, and we added them in as an endorser. And it's just, at the speed. There are a lot of organizations and Dem clubs that don't endorse in the primaries, so that there will be much thicker, will be thicker with endorsements for the general election. A lot of the Dem clubs don't want to get into it. We're Switzerland. We're not endorsing anybody. We just list endorsers. So if there are endorsing groups that endorse in the primaries, we will show them. We will show you everybody that's endorsing all three of the major senatorial candidates, and we don't pick one. We'll put those in there. And I want to once again plug for volunteers. It is an enormous effort. When we started this thing, we started with SoCal Blue. I don't know how many of you are familiar with SoCal Blue, but that was the common calendar for, Southern California. And we went in 2018 into the various districts and flipped them, including 49, organizing these action councils. And that was where the idea started. Everybody sort of said, "Hey, this is great, Wayne. You should go ahead and build this thing for the state. That, great idea. We only want to do the grid." So that's when I ran crying to Field Team 6, where I also work, and said, I've got to do this thing. And you're absolutely right, Wendy. It was just a terrifying thing to think about doing one state. And Dale and Jason talked me into doing all the swing states in 2022. And I collect volunteers. We had a team of about 70 volunteers that were getting the information on all the endorsing organizations. We had spreadsheet geniuses working at that. We've got coding geniuses now that have made it simpler, but it's still a big task to think about gathering all these endorsers for all these states. And we are building our team. So if you are interested, if you like to work on the back end, backstage, and you like Blue Voter Guide and you want to support it, go to the website, click on that volunteer button, fill out that form. We will be calling you. Have no fear. And you could just click it to just find out more information. You're not signing your life away.
And Janet had a question about how are you bringing this information to the attention of high school and college students and getting the word out?
We are telling everybody that we know. We are looking for partner organizations. We're starting to do that. We're partnered with Field Team 6. We have partnership with Rideshare to Vote. I'm thinking probably we're going to have one with Swipe Blue and many other organizations. And then our social media reach is pretty broad, and we reach out through that, and a lot of it is word of mouth. We had 55,000 people that used Blue Voter Guide in 2022. We obviously need 50 million people using Blue Voter Guide, and I think the build is going to be slow. I have no idea how many people we're going to be getting, but we want to become a brand name like Kleenex. And if you have ideas about that, then let us know. And especially if influencers, it's really interesting, this idea of organizations that are already are endorsing. They are really hesitant about Blue Voter Guide because they only want you to vote for the ones they endorse, and it's a very it doesn't help them to do that. It actually hurts, and so it's not wise. But any organization that of, we want to tell them about, we want to partner with them. All it involves is getting our link out. That's it, bluevoterguide.org. We just want to put that everywhere. We go on podcasts and every way we can.
Okay. And Larry, you answered Leslie's question about when ballots are going to go out. They're going to be mailed February 5th. And Linda wants to know, are there any influencers? I think you have answered this already, Wayne, but are there any influencers who are encouraging or training young voters? And I know the Civic Center is one of them, but you probably know a lot more.
Well, we love Civic Center, and that's an interesting case because Civic Center is a nonpartisan organization. You can't be partisan and go into high schools. You have to be nonpartisan. So Laura has built a 501c3, and so she can't put, as a 501c3, she can't advertise or promote organizations that are partisan, which Blue Voter Guide is. We're a 501c4. So we love the Civic Center, and it's great. Now college campuses are different. We can make connections there, and we can go on there. And of course, anybody who goes to a high school and helps to register high school voters as an individual, not as a representative of Civic Center, can of course mention Blue Voter Guide, but Civic Center cannot.
Just have to give away a bunch of skateboards with Blue Voter Guide logos on 'em.
Yeah. Yeah, if those stickers are free if you go to the Field Team 6 website under resources, printable tools, and the postcards, you give those out and you print them up. There's lots of ways to tell people about us. I'm hoping we'll get this partnership going with Swipe Blue. I have to talk to them. I think we can put that on our site. That's a relational database. It's effectively, what's it called? It's relational organizing. Where you sign up with them and you give them permission to access your addresses, and then you can text out to everybody that's in your address book and put up.
Right. And Wayne, for people who are interested in volunteering, what kind of skill sets are you looking for?
If you like social media and you're interested in that, that's really great. We'd love to have that. If you're good at spreadsheets, that's really wonderful. If you any kind of computer literacy is good. If you just like to do research, and help us find these endorsing groups, you would be just somebody who's comfortable, moving around on the web and doing research for us and looking for new endorsers and then entering them in. There's ways of doing that, so a little bit of computer literacy and a lot of interest in being a detective.
Good. Yeah, I think there's a place for just about everybody. There's so much you guys have to do. And Becky, I think well, I'll let Wayne answer. When you say San Diego, do you mean San Diego County or the city, and I think it's everything in California, every locality.
It's every locality in California. Anything. If our vendor is successful in their aspiration to cover all the races, then everything should be covered. So it doesn't matter whether you're in San Diego or county or Temecula or some small little place. We're going to be adding a module that if you don't see races that are in where you are, that you let us know about it. And we will have the capability if our vendor isn't able to do it, then we can add races as well. We can do that, but we need to know about it. But we're going to add that to the site where just to give us a shout out, like you're not seeing what you need to see, and let us know.
Awesome. Any last minute question for Wayne? All the links that are in the chat right now, I'll be putting into, and I will get to you, Sue, but I'll put into the follow-up email, which you'll get by tomorrow or Monday at the latest. And that will include the links where you can sign up to volunteer. And Sue, you get the last question.
It's just going to make a comment about the Blue Voter Guide. It's just awesome. I love Field Team 6, and I've kept track of this. So I did order the free stickers. And this is the back of my phone.
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna, I always have my phone with me. So, you want to know about Blue Voter Guide? So
you are a rock star. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got 50 of them.
Right. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, just like you say, you just have to spread the word somehow. But
Yeah.
I'm very impressed, very impressed.
Yeah, and people who use it love it, and it just gets better and better. We have the 1.0 version, which we had for 2022. Larry was involved working on the tech side with our development team on the 2.0 version, which is we just went live with the 2.0 version a couple of weeks ago, and it's a quantum leap. I mean, it's just great, and we're adding features all the time on the some of them under the hood. In fact, the live website does it doesn't even the headline doesn't even look like what I showed you, because that's not going to be live until tomorrow. But we're going to be pushing a bunch of new little features. But the whole idea is to make it simple, just to make it really easy, make it just so everybody understands what is there. We want to make voting frictionless, and that's our goal.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Wayne, for this tremendous effort and for making time to talk with us here today. And I'm sure you will have some new volunteers over the next few days. So
I hope so. And if anybody is just crazy about the idea and wants to help us in any way, raise funds, or you want to have a little giving circle and you're with a bunch of friends, and I'm there. Just let me know and I can come and speak to people and get the word out that way too. So anyway, thank you. I'll hang around for a little bit, but then I'll probably.
Okay, thank you so much, Wayne. That was a great talk.